All right, now, as you can see, let me grab my gloves. It's fully charged. Charger's flashing, or it's green. I even put it on charger after unloading it because people are funny. When they want to believe something, they're like, well, did you charge it after you unloaded it? That could have been an extra half a mile. So, full charge, 0 miles. This bike has, what did that say for mileage? Oh, it was 92, I think, not 9.2. I was about to say, I know I put more than 9 miles on it. So yeah, 92 miles on the bike. I got some new tires on there. They're not really, like, a lot of people are just looking for some kind of reasoning for low mileage, but even with the other tires on there, the stock tires, it wasn't getting great mileage. It just was hopping, and these are properly mounted and smooth. So, starting off with 0 miles, full battery charge. All right. And I'm going to drive it just like I want to drive it, which is going to be a little quicker. And then what most people probably would go, but it's the reason I bought it. And these tires are, they have about 25 miles on them, and they haven't been leaned over very far. It's kind of chilly. It's about 52 degrees Fahrenheit, I think. And so they're going to be getting scrubbed in on this run, but modern tire production is pretty good. They're not real bad about putting slippery mold release compound on tires like they used to. So you can pretty quickly get on down on a fresh set of tires without much of an issue. So we're going across the state line here from North Carolina into Tennessee. And my dialogue on this video might be a little bit over-explaining for those of you that are familiar with the area, but I'm gonna talk about this area and the road because I feel like there might be an audience that's a little bit unfamiliar with the road. So I just want to make sure that they are okay, to make sure that GoPro is recording. So for those of you who don't know, this is Welcome to the Tail of the Dragon. This is a pretty famous motorcycle and sports car road on the border of North Carolina and Tennessee in the Appalachian Mountain chain. And this road is famous, but this whole area is really good. But this road in particular is pretty famous for having, so they say, 318 turns and 11 miles. Now, when you try to count them, it's more like, it's a lot. It's still a lot. It's probably like 200. Might have been a little bit exaggerative with the 318, but that's what it's always sort of been marketed as and sticks with, so we're gonna go with that. The road is in, there's a pig. The road is in pretty good shape for how old it is. It hasn't been paved in about 20 years, and it's getting repaved next year. So there's a few bad spots. They've patched them, some of them. But it's for our part of the country, it's getting a little rough. A lot of the roads around here are in a little bit better shape, but I know that people that come from other places, other parts of the United States and other parts of the world, feel like these roads are really well maintained and impressive. So it's all relative, I get it. So I'm gonna drive it pretty hard, but I don't have a person to to come get me. So on the way back, if it starts to look like I'm not going to make it driving at that pace, then I may back off. Now this is a Monday, sort of late afternoon here, and it's off season. It's early February here, so this part of the world, this part of the country, we're in probably the deepest throes of winter, and it's still, you know, like I said, like mid-low 50s, and with the sun out it feels a little warmer. Still feeling a little bit of hop. And I recently posted a video where I documented the tire change, and we showed some video of what it looks like with the wheel free spinning on the back, and you could see there's still some movement happening at a certain speed range from about 30 to 40 miles an hour or so. And that's kind of where you spend a lot of your time on this road. It's so tight. And the speed limit is 30. It used to be 55, if you could believe that. So there's one of the pretty bad places. So we're going into what's called Gravity Cavity here. This is one of the most impressive, memorable, extreme sections. It's got a real big dip, especially going the other direction there. And we're going past mile marker 3. Now the whole run is technically 11 miles, but most people just go to what we call the overlook, which we'll be getting to here at the end. That's where I'm going. I'm not going to go all the way down to Tapoco Bridge at the 11-mile point, but I'm down 1 bar so far. Which the battery gauge, I don't know, maybe it calibrates itself over time or something. Maybe that's wishful thinking, but it seems like it is slow to go down at first, and then it drops kind of quickly. So I think it has a hard time really measuring the remaining capacity of the battery, you know. So I'm not sure how trustworthy that reading is early on. So this is the lowest point. There is a little bit of elevation on this road, but it's not a whole lot. We're going to start going uphill now, mile marker 4 here. So that's where Parsons Branch comes in. So this next mile or so is it's kind of uphill. And a lot of you that aren't familiar with this place maybe, or you know, just mountain riding and stuff in general, may be wondering why I'm not just cutting the corners when I can see through them. And the reason being, that's very taboo here. It's a very bad habit. It ends up causing more problems than anything, and you end up being inconsistent anyway with your riding. One time you can cut this corner, next time you can't, and so it ends up just sort of causing to me problems, and in general it's just frowned upon. So we don't do that. And plus, you're not really getting the full experience. If you're straightening out the turns, then you're not getting the full dragging experience. You know, you're doing half of it instead of all of it. So we want people to have the most fun and get the best experience they can out of it. So that means riding the road proper, following the lines that the road has, and don't shortcut yourself. So this is double apex right here. You kind of swing out wide and then come back in. It's kind of fun. And there's 3 of these in a row here to the left. So we go around this right-hander, which is itself kind of a double apex. Kind of tightens at the end here. And then this one right here is a double. So kind of go in, run out wide, and come back in again. And then you got this sort of long, continuous right-hander here. I say long, you know, for here. I know that's not very long in most people's definition. Then there's a second apex on this one. And now we're about to get to the top. There's a really cool view off to the left where you can see the road in several different places this time of year. But in the spring and summer, you can't hardly see it. So now we're getting to the top of the uphill, and it's kind of levels off here. I'm showing, I think, 2 bars down so far. So from here on out, it's not that much elevation. We're still going to go uphill a little bit, and then we're going to go a little bit downhill to the end. And the overall elevation profile is kind of shaped like the letter M, as in Mary. So that low point is the middle of the M that we talked about earlier there at Parsons. So you can see across the valley right here to another section of the road that we're going to be going through in just a minute. Right over there, these power lines, they keep it cleared so they don't short out and touch anything growing up under them. Stains on the road there are blood stains from last season. So this road has a reputation of being dangerous and everything. Ooh, there's some big rocks right there in the pull-off. Has a reputation of being pretty dangerous, but statistically it's really not. It's just everything that happens here, it gets broadcast all over the world. Anything happens to Elder Dragon, kind of everybody that's an enthusiast finds out about it. But on other roads, things happen more frequently, even around here, but also in other parts of the country, but we're not necessarily going to hear about it like they're going to hear about this place. But we do see about 3 or 4 fatalities a year up here, which sucks, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of places with higher numbers than that. And considering how many motorcycles come through here during the season, it's crazy out here. It's just like a parade of constant motorcycles. It's pretty amazing actually how few people get seriously hurt. This is one of the tighter turns here. We call it a cemetery turn. There's a Civil War gravestone up there, up a little path on the outside there. So we're going through mud turn here, and this is where we could see across a minute ago the section that you could see. I don't know if it showed up on video. It's what we call scenic turn, so you can look across right here and see over there where we were just at. So now we're going into what we call 2 square. It's like 2 90-degree sets of turns in a row here. It's a pretty tight little section. I'm trying to lean the bike, but not so far that the pegs are on the ground too hard just yet. We're coming up on picnic table here, mile marker 7. So I'm pretty sure if I lay this thing down and scratch it up, it's going to be a real process to get spare parts. Since the company just started shipping them, they've been behind the 8 ball on delivering finished bikes to people who pre-ordered them anyway. And so I spoke to one of the representatives for a little bit on the phone, Luis at Saunders, about a problem I was having. Is my own damn fault. I pushed the stupid kill switch that's on this thing, and it cut the motor off, and I didn't realize I pushed it. But yeah, I was talking to him about getting maybe a second charger. Could I purchase like a second charger to keep at the store so I don't have to carry my charger with me? And he said at the time they can't, because they're still using every resource, every bit of their manufacturing to just deliver the product as fast as they can. But eventually they will have spares and things like that. But for right now, I don't want to count on that by putting this thing down and scraping it up and going down the road. All right, so we're coming up on mile marker 8, and we're almost at the end. Remember, it's about 9 miles, a little short of 9 miles to the overlook here where we're going to. And I am showing 1 bar above half right now. I suspect it will be at half when I get to the overlook. Which the mileage starts at the state line, which if you'll recall, we had to ride from the store to the state line, and that's a little less than a mile, maybe like 3/4 of a mile. So So you add that onto the mileage, that's how much we've gone so far. It's showing 9 miles exactly right now. And we're still just a bar over half. I've been on and off the throttle, but I've been full throttle a lot. It was pretty fun at that pace. I ain't mad at it. If I can get the pegs to not drag, that'll be really good. All right, so we're at 9.3 on the trip meter miles. So I'm going to pull in here and do a little bit of photos, take a breather. And I'm not going to cut this off. I don't think it powers off automatically. So if it does, take note, it's at 9.3 miles right now, is what we've done. And we're 1 bar above half. So hopefully it'll stay on and we'll just pick back up right there. But if not, add that to the total. I'll go up here and get a couple shots. Whew. Still some work moving back and forth on a motorcycle. I'm 51 years old and the body is adaptive and all that, of course, but it's still sometimes, it's been a while and I got a little bit out of shape. Let's see. Pretty. I love this place. Yeah, so right over there is Foothills Parkway in Tennessee. And on the top of those ridge mountains way over there, that's the Cherahela Skyway, North Carolina into Tennessee. All right. Might go up here on this other perch and get me a shot. Yeah, I don't know if I want to try to climb up there with this pole on my back right now. I just got a couple shots from down here. Let's see, what's that 3 times look like? Yeah, that's good. All right. Let's make our run back. See if this thing is still turned on. Everything seems to check out. The power is still on the bike. And it's showing again. We're sitting at 9.3 miles with 1 bar over half. So at that rate, we should make it back without issue. But like I said, and I'm just driving in normal mode. But like I said, the battery gauge seems to go down a little faster as it gets below half than it does above half. So we'll see how it acts. So for those of you that aren't familiar again with the area, you can find more information about this road at tailofthedragon.com. Pay attention. And yeah, there's a lot of events here if you're into any type of motorcycle or specific vehicle, motorcycle, cars. There's probably some kind of rally on the calendar for this year for whatever kind of group you're into. So you can go online on that website there and look at the event calendar for the year, and not everything is on it, but you can get an idea of some of the groups that are coming. It's pretty rough right in there. Right here there's a big drop. I just stand up and sort of let the bike move around over that. Alright, so I'm down to half now on the bars. And I'm not being gentle on the throttle or anything. I'm just giving it full throttle whenever I normally would, but it's got that throttle softening curve that keeps it from applying full power for a second or two as it sort of ramps up gradually. A little bit of a delay. Like I said before in the other video I shot, it's kind of like turbo lag. You just have to sort of prepare for it, expect it, get in front of it a little bit, you know, get on the throttle a little bit early in the turn, knowing that it's not going to give it to you right then. But so for those that probably, you know, are like, that's not what this was made for, whatever, I get it. I'm not trying to tell anybody how to what to expect from their bike or to be disappointed from this. I'm doing something with it that's for me, and I'm not saying that everybody's going to have this same experience and issue with range and stuff like that and performance. Most people aren't doing this, I get it. I bought this bike because I run a photography videography business, and I thought it would be a pretty cool platform for shooting video without making noise, so that I can get audio of the other vehicle that I'm filming, while still using a camera platform that is capable of allowing the vehicle that I'm filming to perform at a pretty high level, you know what I'm saying? So it's like a lot of footage that's shot of like fast vehicles and race cars. It's like they have to go slow because the camera vehicle is this, you know, this big truck or an SUV with a camera rig on it. And with cars, it's not such a problem because you can kind of speed that up and fake it and use a lot of cuts and things like that. But motorcycles in particular, you can't fake lean angle, and if they're not going fast enough, they're just not going to be leaned over, and it just looks hokey. So I wanted people to be able to, you know, ride at their comfortable or close to their comfortable limit. I mean, this is still not fast enough to run with, you know, the fast guys and the locals and stuff, but most tourists that come here, they're not even going to be able to go this pace, so this works out okay. And then too, even if they are a little faster, they can just follow me, and I'm going to hold them up a little bit, but they'll still be going fast enough that they can, you know, they can drag. Especially once I get this peg thing sorted out, then I can really carry some speed through the turns. I think that was one of the things that really interested me about this electric bike. There's plenty of e-bikes out there that have more range and better capabilities, but I wanted something that was skinny and light. I want to be able to lean it over. And so when they originally announced that they were shooting for a 200-pound weight total on the bike, that really caught my attention. But they ended up not being able to do that. But it's still pretty light. It's still 300, a little over 300 pounds, I think. But I think it still has a lot of potential. It's super skinny, and with some good sticky tires, I think I'll be able to get it cranked over and carry some good speed through the turns, and maintain momentum so it doesn't need the horsepower, you know, it doesn't miss the horsepower as much as you kind of need on bikes that can't lean over as far. And it's got a nice short wheelbase. That's a tight turn right there. It's got a nice short wheelbase, so TVA car with TVA tags on it, federal employee driving up the road in the oncoming lane. Very unsafe. I may be speeding, but I'm not a hazard to anybody else on the road as long as they're not driving in my lane. It's frustrating. So yeah, I think that given a few things, a few tweaks, I'll be able to make this do what I want it to do. But I know that it's not everybody's thing, so don't let it get to you. Don't let it disappoint you. that I'm only getting so much out of. I'm full throttle for like the majority of the run, you know, so you're probably not going to be doing all that, and it's okay, you know. It's not a bad thing that it's only going to be able to get so many miles from a charge on this road in this environment. It's asking a lot of it. But that said, you know, there are bikes that are similar weight that have much better range, and even have better, you know, performance capabilities, more horsepower, more top speed and things like that. The Zero SFX comes to mind, for instance. But for the money, you know, that costs about twice as much new, but you can get them used for nearly what this costs new, a little bit more, but that may be something I'll look into eventually as well. Alright, so battery life, we're showing 4 bars now, including the red one at the bottom, so that's 4 out of 11. We're at mile marker 3, so we're 3 miles from the state line, and then it's about a half a mile downhill from the state line to the store, so definitely gonna make it okay, but it's gonna be on the last bar or 2 probably. So here's mile marker 3, don't drag, and here's that gravity cavity, that crazy dipping. Sometimes these GoPro cameras make the road look a little tamer than it is because of their wide angle nature. So just trust me when I tell you, that turn and this turn, there's a lot of weird dippy little elevation change there. So full throttle, kind of going uphill here for the next little bit. As you can see, there's not much traffic out. Sometimes this time of year causes more issues with people driving all over the road because there's so little traffic. You tend to get a little bit more lazy with the driving. Nobody's reminding you to stay in your lane as they go zipping by, you know. So when it's busy, there's sort of a natural, an inherent safety aspect to it being busy, because if you're starting to drive across the road, you know, people keep zipping by. It's sort of a constant reminder, you know, stay against the white line. Don't use that other lane for your own personal lane, because it's not an option when there's a lot of people out here. But when it gets slow like this, and especially locals like that TVA guy, you know, going back and forth a lot, you tend to sort of take it for granted that you're maybe the only one out here going around that turn or whatever, and then boom, you know, somebody comes around the corner and you're head on. So going downhill into what we call NSX turn. I can see a truck's coming, probably a work truck. TVA has dams on both sides of this road, so they have a lot of employees running back and forth between, now we're going uphill, between those you know, those projects, those places to work. Going past Kyle's corner here. Buddy Kyle. I gotta watch this sign right here with my 360 camera sticking out to the right. I'm beating that thing. Never have yet, but that's always on my mind. So here we are going past mile marker 1.5. We're still showing 4 bars. I expect one to drop any second now, but dip turn. But yeah, so far it's still holding up at 4, so that's pretty cool. I wonder if I could make a run using how it would do using sport mode. There we go. Now we're down to 3 bars out of 11, and we're about a mile and some change from the state line, about 2 miles from the end. One more big dip turn, little bumpiness going into it. Boom. And there's mile marker 1. A little bit of a straightish section here. We got a hard right left, and then we got the final straight going up towards the state line. Carry some momentum through here. Full throttle. Alright, I'm gonna give it a blast of sport mode here. Hey, how's it going, guy? This is slightly uphill. Doesn't seem to be delivering the standard amount of power in sport mode that it normally would. So I don't know if things are getting warmed up and it's managing the heat and holding back a little bit, or if it's something else. So this is pretty steep uphill now from here to the state line. Steep climb. So we're still in the first use of sport mode here. Going uphill, still showing 3 bars out of 11. And across the line. There we go, we still got 3 bars, not bad. Put it in regular mode, and since we've still got 3 bars, I'm gonna go on past the store, take a chance. Risky. This is a pretty steep downhill for the next 3 miles, so I'm gonna keep going down the hill here to the dam. It's always a good idea to be going downhill right before you run out of juice, so that the uphill part can get you stranded, right? Real smart. That was sarcasm, in case that did come across. So we're still showing 3 bars, still just using drive mode. For those not familiar with what I've stated before, if you're new to this, I weigh 150 pounds, and yeah, so that plays into what kind of performance you can expect to get. So we just crossed 20 miles exactly right there. We went down to 2 bars out of 11. So right at the 20-mile mark. Gonna go down here about another. And I've been sort of dive bombing the curves and not really like doing, if I really wanted to maximize the regenerative nature of the electric bike, then I could do a little bit more roll off drag type stuff like I'm doing. I'm gonna do it right here. It does have quite a bit of drag when you let off and give it a second. It takes it a second for it to really start applying drag, but it's a really cool little spot here. This is where they filmed Harrison Ford jumping from the dam in the movie The Fugitive back in like the, what was that, 90s? It's an old movie. A lot of you whippersnappers probably haven't seen that. So here's the Kiowa Dam. Old dam built in like the 30s. Taking it easy here. This is level grounds. I'm gonna go down here to Tapoco Lodge and turn around, and then hopefully make it back up the store. It's a pretty steep climb uphill. I still got 2 bars. Tapoco Lodge, real pretty place as well. Bit of the river action. Take it a little bit easy here on the acceleration. It's kind of fun to try to keep that throttle curve RPM gauge basically below the turn from going straight up to straight across. If you do that, if you keep it kind of low with using gentle throttle inputs, then it's a lot easier on the battery. Once that little bar ramps up, goes across the top, that means it's really sucking juice from the battery to get you going. There's a real bad dip right here, bump at the transition of this concrete to pavement, so always be careful there. Easy on the throttle, easy on the throttle. Now we're hypermiling, but we're going uphill, so not so much on hypermiling. And you off to the right, there's a little bit of a view of the dam and the big power station and drop off that's down there. No matter what you do, be careful about this bump right here, because it can really cause you to get airborne, and right there too. Alright, so we're still at 2 bars. Oh, we just dropped to 1 bar and it's flashing. So I am about 2 miles, I guess, from the store, and it's somewhat uphill. We just went up the steepest part of the uphill, so we got that behind us. That's good. But we're still having to go uphill here, so hopefully it'll make it okay. I'm taking it pretty easy with the throttle application, not going as full throttle as I have been. Keeping that RPM gauge below the hump, or the curve there. So for those of you not familiar, this is US Highway 129, and the tail of the dragon that we did earlier on up the road there is just a section of it. It's an 11-mile section of it that's really curvy and kind of famous. But the road itself, the highway, goes through 4 states. It starts in Knoxville and I-40 in Tennessee, and goes down through North Carolina, goes down through Georgia, and ends up in Florida. I think in the top half of Florida is where it finally ends. So it doesn't go all the way through Florida, but it does go all the way through the state of Georgia. There's a really cool section of it in Georgia too, called Blood Mountain. That's real windy in 3 lanes. It's pretty fun. Coming up behind some slower traffic here. Little waterfall action on the outside of the turn there. Pretty steep uphill right here. Still flashing the red bar at 23 miles, 0.4. Slowing down, which is better on the battery anyway. The faster you go, the more drag you have from aero and other forms of friction, I guess. We'll cut the headlight off and just go to LEDs. Save a little bit of juice and make this guy not feel any kind of pressure to pull over. I'm just staying back and trying not to push up on him too hard, because I'm almost at my destination. I don't need to get by him. Some people pull over right there and it's a really aggressive pull off, big drop off, and he would probably be okay, but I don't know, the trailer and the hose thing that he's pulling might end up dragging. All right, so we're almost here, right around the curve. This is Highway 28, Moonshiner 28 that comes out from the side. Oh, a little lovey-dovey action there. All right, pulling in to the store. Woo! 23.9. Let's call it a nice even 24. So we did about 24 miles. Got the weight chair. Who left that there? Oh yeah, I did. All right. So we're flashing red at 23.9 miles. Hopefully that shows up there. But that was, you know, that was aggressive. A lot of full throttle. 99% of that was in normal mode, with just the last maybe 1 mile there from the up to the state line was in sport mode. So I hope you enjoyed that. I'll be making more videos and stuff, and you know, still doing some things to this. Like I've got to still produce a video about these running lights that I put on here. They're really cool, and they have let's see if I can get it to come on. They have a turn signal thing, and then on the back as well, they came as a set, and they do red when you I don't know if it shows up. They light up red when you pull the brakes in, because I took this big bulky thing that was on here off, and I didn't feel like the brake light on this was really very sufficient. So these, and they're also turn signals. When you hit the turn signal, it overrides the brake light part. Pretty cool. I'll do a tutorial or a little bit of a write-up about how I did that, but basically I tied into the turn signals that were switches that were up here, the connectors, and ran them down all the way through swing arm, up that thing, and into there. All right, till next time, thanks y'all. Bye.